Reverend Lavai for this devotion.
Kuiki mdugo endo sawa ta tola tane tola dit. Tone boy bingui. This is what Jesus takes away na ita binis ni nilai. Tabo bibid do nang ngau na lek.
Na bono sa natin nang reject na wantura na ro tikyu
Turanda Rislisni Mbosevici, the Reverend Mavai, the representative from the Commissioner Northern's office, and Divisional Engineer North, members of the various statutory bodies that we have under the ambit of the ministry, the Water Authority and LTA. I think EFL is also here, EFL and the staff from the ministry that are here. First of all, I'd like to, on behalf of myself and the Assistant Minister, the Honorable Vijay Nath, who I'm sure you're very familiar with, since he's been in this ministry far longer than I have been. But it is for me this afternoon, first of all, I'd like to say and apologize for being late. Apologize for being late, but I thank you all for taking the time to be here. With your presence, I appreciate it, and I want to thank you for taking the time for having the ceremony that we have had in Galagalovi and the Subsidy. All of those things to all of you, thank you very much. I did not, as I was sitting here, I was telling myself, what should I talk about? Because I have not really prepared anything to talk about. But I think today, first of all, I appreciate the fact that we have this opportunity to be able to come and to meet. Last time that I came here was as a Minister for Employment. I was telling Tay, what was it that I came here last time? And I can't even remember, because it was in relation to that particular ministry at that particular time. But that is the story of all of our lives. All of our lives is a story about doors closing from one room, we move from one room of our life to another room in our life. That's what life is all about. You move out of the room of childhood to the room of adolescence, to the room of becoming a mature person, an old person, and gradually you move. Your life is all about moving to different stages of our life. So up at my particular stage of life now, I believe it is a calling for me to be in this ministry at this point in time. And all of us are like that. We keep moving, we keep changing. So first of all, as I said, just a few messages that I thought I'd share with you this afternoon. Above all, thank you very much for the welcome. Secondly, thank you for being there, carrying out the work of this ministry in the Northern Division. I know it's not always easy to be able to do the things that you need to do here. In some of the places that I've been so far, some of the places they've talked about the challenges that they have in terms of resources, the challenges in not being able to access things as quickly as they want, sometimes the challenge of not being totally understood by your bosses wherever they are, perhaps back in head office. But despite all those challenges, we are still able to try to deliver the service to the best of our ability. Because at the end of the day, that's what we are here for. You are here to deliver service, I am here to deliver service. Both of us sitting up here are actually representatives of a political party whose job it is just to look after the country and make sure that the government machinery is able to provide the people of this country the service that they want, the service that they need. And this is very important for all of us. All of you are working as civil servants or working in, commercial statutory authorities. We are all in this job of providing service to the people of this country. And I think that is going to be critical for all of us. That has to be the central thing in our imagination and what we think about on a daily basis. I remember when I was first coming into the ministry, straight after the election, people tell me, oh, in this ministry there are a lot of people that were supporting this party, supporting that party, that a lot of people in the ministry did not support your party. All that sort of things needs to disappear now. You understand what I'm saying? We all support a different party, but when we come into this situation where we have to serve people, we must serve people. We must serve people. We must place the people of this country on a pedestal above us and we look up to them. We do not put them below us and look down at them. We put them on a pedestal, raise them up, and tell ourselves it is our job to look up to them and provide them the service that they need. You understand what I'm talking about? You know, once I was Minister for Health for a time, and they were telling me about how the nurses in Japan interact with the patients that they have to serve. You know, the patient will be lying on the bed, and normally when the medical people come to the bed, the patient will be lying down there, and the nurse would be looking down at the patient and talking to the patient. So looking down at the patient to give assistance. They're saying, I don't know whether it's Japan or Korea, in one particular hospital, the nurses would actually come down, kneel by the side of the bed, and look up to the patient. Can you see those two different images? An image of looking down, and the image of kneeling beside the bed and looking up. And in that posture, in that change of posture, in the way this particular nurse presented herself to the patient, she was giving a message that it is my job here to serve you. And that is the job that we have, all of us, in all the different roles that we have. I believe that all of us are placed in different roles in a particular point of time in our lives for a reason. And in every role that you have, you're placed for a reason to provide that service to the people that you have. And that has to be the central tenet of everything that we do. We are here to provide service to the people. Sometimes it can be difficult, but as I was sitting today, imagining what to think, then I had the honor of seeing the Reverend Mavai actually do the dedication of the service that we have. Reverend Mavai, in the annals of Dean's rugby in Fiji, he has a wonderful record. He is not a rugby coach. I don't know whether they actually played rugby, because he comes from Kambara, they probably played cricket there. But he has this record of being at QBS when he was the Talatala there, and 3 years in a row, during the time that he was there, QBS won the Dean's Trophy. Then he came to the best school in Fiji, on the banks of the River, called Lelin Memorial School. When he was at Lelin Memorial School also, for 3 years in a row, he was not a rugby expert. For 3 years in a row, the school was able to win the Dean's Trophy. I kept thinking about this. In the Lelin, amongst the old scholars, we call it the Mavai process. The Mavai process, the essence of building teams, having a strong spiritual base for everything that you do, and having a lot of faith. Having a lot of faith in your God and what you intend to do. And then building a culture around what you're trying to do. Building a culture, building process around it. And for 3 years in a row that I was there as an old scholar, we were amazed. And we were thinking, what is the secret behind this? It's actually the process that you brought in. And I was thinking as I was sitting here, what was that process? The process of building strong teams. Common vision. Common idea of what we are here for. And that vision is what I've been talking about, the vision of service. For a strong ministry, for a strong group of people to be able to function well, the vision must be the same. We can't have people having this vision and others having that vision and others having this vision and others having this vision. Because you have some of that vision going this way, vision going this way, vision going that way, vision going that way. If 25% go this way, 25% go that way, 25% go this way, 25% go this way, you are not going anywhere. You get my point, eh? So a very strong thing for us is to have that common vision. And as I was sitting here, I noticed the chart that you have at the back. I don't know who put it up there, how long it's been there. Can you see the one at the back? Here, on the top, a good leader. How long has that been up there? 1? 2 months. Okay. Do you know where that idea came from? People who put up that chart, do you know where it came from? It talks about energy, passion, execution, edge, and what's the other one? I can't read properly. What's about this? Energize others. Do you know where those ideas came from? They come from the writings of a person called Jack Welch. Jack Welch was one of the greatest CEOs that the world has ever seen. He managed a company that was at the top of the world at its time called General Electric. But those sorts of ideas are the kinds of ideas that we don't only want to see in leaders, but we want to see that everybody that works in the ministry. As I think back to the Reverend Marvai and what he did at QBS and the lead for those years, all those qualities were there in what he had. First, he had a lot of energy. For you to be able to achieve things, you must have that vision of wanting to do it, and you must have that energy to do it. You can't be half dead. You can't be half dead and expect yourself to be able to achieve great results. You know what I mean, eh? Half dead means you walk in, you're broke, doped, or too much, whatever, and you spend half your time sitting down doing nothing. You must have that energy. How do you know that somebody is energetic? You can see him, you can be in his company, and you can feel the electricity and the vibes coming out of him. Do you understand? Do you know what I mean? There are some people in your life that when you meet them, you can feel this energy emanating from them. Have you come across such people? I remember when I was a young man, when I was at USP, one time we had the opportunity to meet Ratumara at that time. You know, one of our old leaders. Ratumara was a person that had presence. When you walked into a place, if you were in a room and he came in, you could feel it. I don't know if any of you have experienced this. You're in a room and somebody walks in and you can feel that somebody has come into the room. Some people are like that. People with energy are like that. When you are in them, when you're with them, you can feel that the energy that they have for the work that they have to do. What is the thing that drives that energy? Is the vision they have of what they want to achieve. The vision that I've been talking about, whether it's the vision of the ministry or it's the vision of the place that we work. That vision, when it captures you, you have the energy to do things. You are not satisfied with the status quo. You're not satisfied with yesterday's results. You have the energy to try to do new things. But then the second one there, you can see from this side, it says energy, then below it, it says energize others. It's not enough for a great ministry or for a great manager or for a great leader to have a lot of energy and the people around them don't have the energy. Good leaders that have a lot of energy, they energize other people so that they are also energized. Because if you have a situation where a leader has all the energy and all the people who work with him don't have energy, who will do all the work? If the leader has all the energy and everybody is half dead, who will do all the work? The leader will do all the work. And that is not the sign of a great organization. A great organization is where leaders who have energy can energize others to also have energy. And then when you all have energy, you can feel the whole organization pulsing and moving, trying to move the organization towards its goals. Can you get that, eh? So those are the two things that are there. Have energy, energize others. I think at the bottom it has edge. You know what this word edge means? Not the edge of the table, or not a knife edge. Maybe it sounds a bit like a knife edge. Edge means in an organization you must have people who can make the tough decisions. They can make the tough decisions. The tough decisions that, sometimes when there's a tough decision to be made, you say, I'll put it off. I'll think about it tomorrow. Or sometimes you might have a staff that you know is a good worker, but you're good friends with him, and one day he does not do something well, and you decide, I'm not going to talk about that thing that he didn't do well. I'll just brush it under the carpet. You know what I'm talking about? You don't have that edge inside of you to deal with that issue right there and then. That's what we need too in an organization that wants to do well. Not just leaders, but people who have the edge to deal with issues when they need to be dealt with, and not to brush things under the carpet. That does not mean if somebody does something wrong, you scream your head up at them or swear at them. No, it just means talking about the things that they did not do right and do something to fix a thing that needs to be done right. The ability to say no when you need to say no, and the ability to say yes, not yes all the time. Because sometimes for organizations to be effective, you must also have the ability to say no, and be able to stand by that ability to say no. So that's that one there. And the last one, the fourth one of the E that you see is execution. Execution here does not mean to execute to kill people. Execute means here execution to carry out the activities that lead to the achievement of your outputs and outcomes. I was today earlier at LTA, we were talking about all the things that they do at LTA. And as ministers, we are always interested in the outcome. What is the final outcome that you're trying to achieve? One of the outcomes, obviously, in LTA is the number of fatalities on the road to go up or go down. To go down. We are now in the last 2 years of the decade of what's the decade of decade action? Action on road safety. Okay. Where we want to reduce. So for us as ministers, that's what we're interested in. But in order to achieve that outcome, you must have a lot of energy, a lot of execution, a lot of edge around the outputs that lead to the outcome. All of things are very important. And the last one that I have here is passion. For anything to succeed, whether it's a church, group of people, whether it's a village, whether it's a ministry, whether it's a country, whether it's a community, the people there must have passion for what they want to achieve. When you have passion, it allows you to withstand all the difficulties that you might face in life. You know, there is a Bible verse that Fiji rugby team always talks about. Or you should remember, it's Philippians 4, what does it mean? Philippians 4:13. What does it say? I can do through. Yeah. When you have that passion, your belief in your God, no matter what difficulties you face, you can do things in spite of the difficulties. That's what passion is about. When you have passion for your God, a passion for your vision, you can walk through barriers, you can climb mountains, you can go down through the swamps and through the rivers and be able to deal with all those difficulties because you have that passion for what you're trying to achieve. And that's what I hope, that the message that what we should try to generate in our ministry is the kind of things that we have on that piece of paper. So I hope next time when you come around like this and you see that piece of paper and you think about what does all this mean, this is a description of the kind of people we want in our ministry so we can deliver the kind of service we need to deliver to the people of this country. I'm hoping that all of us in the ministry or in the CSAs that are related to our ministry, we can become the living epitome of all the characteristics that are seen in people that have that are energizers, that energize others, that have the edge and can execute and meet targets and have the passion to do this so that they can deliver service to all the people of this country. So I've this morning we've I think on the visit to Honolulu so far we've almost visited a project that is related to all the different parts of our ministry. Unless water, I think we have not seen a water project. Okay? Electricity, MDMO, MET. We've got some roads that we've already met. Water, we'll probably do it tomorrow. But you see the importance of all the things. All the things that we do in this ministry, they are related to a number of things. One, there are rights that you find in the Constitution. The right to water, the right to life, the right to transportation, the right to electricity. Those are things that are embedded in the Constitution. What? Connectivity, road. Connectivity, all of these things. So we are one of the tools that we have in this country to be able to deliver these things to the people of this country. At the same time, we are basically here to deliver service to the people. There is no other tool like the people that we have in this ministry. So all of those things, I hope as we move forward, you will be able to remember the importance of having that passion for this ministry, to become that description of being an energizer, energizing others, having the edge, being able to execution and passion, that will become a description of all of us. And when that happens, we will be able to elevate the level of service that we're able to provide. For all of you so far in the ministry, I'd like to thank you for the level of service you have provided. I know, as I said before, I have always believed when I come to a ministry that the expertise on how to do anything that needs to be done in this ministry does not reside in me. I am not an expert in the things we do in this ministry. The expertise is in you. You are the technical experts. I am not the technical expert. I come here with a mandate of government to talk about our expectations, but we expect to work through you to deliver the results. You are the main tool, you are the main resource that we have in this ministry to be able to deliver the kind of service that we need. If all of you become all the characteristics that we have there, we will be able to raise the delivery of our service for the betterment of the people of this country and to fulfill the calling that we have, that we are called to be in the particular jobs that we have in this moment of time for the benefit of all the people of this country. So those are the words that I hope will be of assistance to us today. Once again, thank you again for the wonderful welcome this evening, and I look forward to working with you, God willing, for the life of this government. Thank you. God bless us all.
A very restful mind. The word of Christ is this: come to me, the load that the good Lord call us to do.
So if they need the stores replenished, we'll do that from outside. In concept is
Make sure they're not using it on Sunday.